with. Thank you very much. And Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. Ms. Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When it comes to the struggle to win the hearts and minds of the international community, particularly the Global South, China seems to have a natural advantage over the United States. China has an authoritarian message that resonates naturally with authoritarian regimes. Right? China can easily tell those regimes, unlike the United States, we, the CCP, will never sit in judgment of you. America will come to you and give you a lecture. We will come to you and give you infrastructure. And tragically, we live in a world where there are more autocracies than democracies, and those autocracies seem ideologically predisposed to buy what China is selling. So, Mr. Garnott, what can the U.S. do to overcome the appeal of China's autocratic messaging to autocratic regimes?
This is a real challenge, China's ability to co-opt elites. I think that is the fundamental problem here. And in my view, the most important thing is to illuminate improper financial dealings and to the extent that that's possible to cut off the grey income flows to elites in countries where institutions are not robust. If you cut off the bribery, then I think Beijing would be less popular in many countries.
You know, China is known for exercising both discourse power and economic coercion, and these two seem to be mutually reinforcing. So take a recent example is Elon Musk, who owns and operates X, formerly known as Twitter, and who has considerable business interest in China. In a recent interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin of the New York Times, Mr. Musk had colorful language for advertisers fleeing his social media platform X. Without quoting him verbatim, he essentially told his advertisers to go to hell. Ms. Wang, do you think Musk would deliver the same kind of tough talk to the CCP?
Well, I mean, a good anecdote or evidence that he wouldn't is that, I mean, Elon Musk tweets constantly when he's in the US, right? But when he visited in China earlier this year, he was completely silent for, I think, at least like a day or two when he was in China, because Twitter is banned in China. So he's apparently complying with Chinese laws, complying with Chinese practice of not accessing Twitter. I mean, Elon Musk has, publicly said he thinks that Taiwan should be part of China. So there are rhetorics that clearly shows, I mean, he ideologically aligned with the CCP. And
Mr. Musk also said that he is committed to core socialist values. Do you think he's actually committed to core socialist values, or does he feel coerced by the economic and discourse power of the CCP?
Well, I think economics definitely, in the back of his mind, just because of the huge interests he has in China. And, a lot of companies have interests in the U.S., Chinese company or American companies. But the American government doesn't, coerce or leverage that for foreign companies' access to the U.S. government. American government doesn't even have the power to tie political goals to business access. But the Chinese government can do that. So that's a very powerful tool to compel foreign companies to do that. I mean, Elon Musk had, Tesla. China is Tesla's second market, and Tesla's Shanghai factory is the world's largest electrical factory.
Dr. Yu, I found myself struck by the following statement in your testimony, quote, "The propagandists determined to undermine America's confidence are aided and abetted by our country's self-denunciation, from opinion-setting editorial boards to opinion-forming classrooms that only see vice in the world's oldest continuous democracy, but ignore systemic and inherent goodness at its core." Eloquently put. I share the view that there seems to be an American culture of self-loathing, spreading virally on social media platforms and college campuses. And it's hard to imagine more compelling evidence of America's cultural self-loathing than the trending of Osama bin Laden's letter to America on TikTok. Do you agree with that assessment?
I agree. I think, one reason I said that, the way you read it actually sounds much better than I wrote it. Let me just put it this way.
I'm happy to read more of your testimony.
When Americans criticize our government, that shows our sense of responsibility. We wish this country to be a more perfect union, right? That's what I think. When the Chinese Communist government criticizes us, they want us destroyed. because it doesn't matter which party is in charge. Democrats or Republican. It's not a policy per se. It's the very existence of the United States that could inspire Chinese people. That's what they fear about most. So that's why I think we should have self-confidence in ourselves, and to believe the virtue of our democratic system is infinitely better than anything the Chinese Communist Party could offer. Back to the question you were asking just a little bit earlier, in 20 seconds. Ultimately, the Chinese model of governance would not prevail. You look at even Chinese American companies, how many were going in? No. Yes, Elon Musk is there, but a majority of the companies were already getting out. Showing up at this obsequious dinner in Silicon Valley for Xi Jinping are those people who already have their investment in China, but people who did not show up are the CEOs of Google, Facebook, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and AMD. Many companies didn't go there because they know China is not a very good environment for them to invest. As Secretary of Commerce Romano said, China essentially is uninvestable.
Thank you. Mr. Banks.
Dr. Yu, you played a leading role in the Trump administration's efforts to counter communist China.